Hey everyone, afternoon. We have a good few people on board. It's been a pretty popular topic. I think there's a lot of interest, but still a few people rolling in. But I think we can get started. Yeah. So, who is ready to hear about the new Strove Miracle Supplement? It burns fat, it builds muscle, it boosts energy, it raises your IQ by 30 points. Okay, so obviously that's nonsense. But if you've ever spent more than 5 minutes on TikTok or Instagram, you've probably seen claims like this. And the supplement industry is worth billions, and everyone seems to want to sell you the next big thing. But how do you really know what actually works and what's just marketing hype? So that's exactly what we're going to try and figure out today. So welcome to Supplement Smarts, a doctor's guide to safe and effective choices. Ignore what my mates say. I am a real doctor, and so I'll be trying to guide you through this. My name's Jareth Zaden, and I'm going to give you a super simple framework to help you separate fact from fiction when it comes to supplements, so that you can make smarter choices for your health. So before we go any further, let's take a second to talk about what a supplement actually is. So a supplement is, well, it's something that supplements, right? It's added to something else to complete or enhance it. It sounds pretty simple, but here's where people get confused. A supplement is not supposed to replace something. It's not a shortcut. It's not a miracle cure, and it's definitely not an excuse to eat nothing but pizza and hope that a multivitamin in the morning can save you. In an ideal world, most of us should be getting everything we need from food. But let's be real, life happens, and diets aren't always perfect. And sometimes supplements can help fill in gaps. The key is knowing which ones are actually useful and which ones belong in the bin. Okay, so just a quick overview of the talk. The supplement industry is absolutely booming. There are pills, powders, gummies, drinks for just about everything. More energy, better sleep, glowing skin. Yep, all available in a convenient once-a-day pill or powder. Now, don't get me wrong, some supplements can be beneficial and useful, but here's the thing, not all supplements are created equal. Some really just don't work at all, and others could actually be harmful. So today I have two goals for you. First, I'm going to give you a simple, practical framework to figure out if a supplement is worth your time and money. I'm not going to tell you what supplements to take and what supplements to avoid, but I'll help you decide for yourself. Second, we're going to apply that framework to some of the most popular supplements out there so you can see exactly how to use the framework in real life. So by the end of the session, you'll be able to confidently say, no, thank you, I'm not falling for that one, or yeah, this might actually be worth taking a look at. So let's get started. Before we get into the science, let's start with a story, because nothing highlights the wild world of supplements quite like social media influencers during a crisis. So picture this, it's January this year. Wildfires are ripping through Los Angeles. The air is thick with smoke, and people are rightfully concerned about their health, fleeing their homes, etc. Enter the wellness influencers to save the day. Seeing an opportunity, they jump in with a solution, but not, masks or air purifiers or anything that's actually helpful. Nope, supplements. So one influencer, Jordan Younger, better known as the Balanced Blonde, recommends a $50 detox supplement to flush out toxins from wildfire smoke. Another influencer, who calls herself a holistic non-toxic RN, pushes a $64 herbal mix called Lung Shield. Sounds pretty impressive, right? But obviously, this is all complete nonsense. There's zero evidence that these products protect you from wildfire smoke, and yet people bought them. And these influencers probably walked away with a fat wallet. Because when fear meets slick marketing, logic often takes a backseat. So Houston, we have a problem. a huge number of people get their supplement advice from social media. Nearly half of all influencer nutrition advice is misinformation. And that's why we need to learn how to filter the nonsense from the real science. And we're going to start by seeing how many of you have been influenced by social media when it comes to supplements. So we're going to do a quick poll if I can figure this out. Give me a sec. Cool. So time to be honest, no judgment here. How many of you have ever tried a supplement or a diet hack because you saw it on social media? Maybe it was a detox tea, a fat burner, or that one supplement every influencer suspiciously started promoting at the same time. So let's kind of see what the numbers say. Okay. Interesting, right? 55%, yes. No one on the 373 who women supplements, unfortunately. Okay, but I mean, it's predominantly yes, and there's no surprises there. So social media is really powerful when it comes to influencing our choices, especially when it comes to health and wellness. So, I mean, why does this matter? Well, I mean, the research shows that 11% of people use YouTube and 6% use TikTok as their main sources of supplement information. And nearly 45% of influencer nutrition posts contain misinformation. So, I mean, in the example on screen, I'll tell you for free that a jet fuel drip is not a treatment for burnout. And that brings us to the big question. How do we separate fact from fiction when it comes to supplements? So let's dive into that next. Okay, so we know that social media is full of questionable supplement advice, but even outside of Instagram and TikTok, there are thousands of products promising to make you healthier, stronger, more energized. So before you reach for your wallet, here are two simple questions you should ask yourself. Firstly, what does the science actually say? So if a supplement actually works, there should be solid peer-reviewed research backing it up. So that's not my friend's cousin swears by it, or this celebrity uses it, but real scientific evidence. The best supplements don't rely on marketing hype, they rely on data. Secondly, do you actually need it? So just because a supplement works doesn't mean that it's for you or that you need it. If you already get enough of a nutrient from your diet, taking more of it won't suddenly turn you into a superhuman. It might just empty your wallet. So supplements should fill a gap, not replace a good diet or lifestyle. So the next time you're considering a supplement, run it through these two checks. Is it backed by science? And do I actually need it? So let's talk about where to actually find that reliable information. If we can't trust social media influencers, where should we be looking for reliable supplement information? Firstly, let's talk about where not to look. The majority of influencers are not trained health professionals, yet their recommendations drive supplement trends. Even the ones who are health professionals are often driven by ulterior motives in terms of selling. So here's the scary part. Nearly 45% of influencer nutrition advice is misinformation. And that means almost half of what's being pushed online is wrong, misleading, or actually just completely made up. And why is that? I mean, it's because the supplements are a multi-billion-dollar industry, and a lot of influencers are getting paid to promote products. The goal isn't always to help you, it's to sell to you. So what about ChatGPT and AI tools? I mean, that's the latest thing, right? And I mean, I know some of you are thinking you can just sort of type it into ChatGPT and magically get the answer. But unfortunately, that's not really the case. So LLMs like ChatGPT are great for summarizing concepts, but they have a few big limitations. They don't always provide the most up-to-date or accurate medical information. They don't verify sources in real time, so they can pull from general knowledge, but they can't always cite the latest or best research. They might hallucinate or confidently state misinformation. So, they can make errors and present them as facts. and they can't assess supplement quality. So while ChatGPT, might know some general concepts, it won't know if a specific brand is contaminated or misleading in its labeling. So while AI tools are useful for learning the basics, they should never be your final source for supplement decisions. So where do you go instead? We can't all be domain experts, right? So here are two trusted sources. The first one is examine.com. So if you want a no-nonsense, science-backed supplement information site, this is really it. It's completely independent. There's no industry sponsors or ties. It's just really analysis of what works and what doesn't from the scientific literature. Unfortunately, full access requires a paid membership, but they do give a 7-day free trial. That should be enough for you to answer all your research questions. So let's see if this, so one thing I really like about their service is that they grade the level of evidence for each effect. So A-level evidence means that multiple high-quality studies have shown a significant effect, while a D or F grading might mean that someone's pet rat once saw a small benefit. So the quality of evidence is really important. The next source resource I'd like to mention is a newer player. They're called consensus.app. And so this is really where AI meets research. So instead of asking a general purpose LLM, this is really focused on the research. So it scans thousands of peer-reviewed studies and it gives you a clear research-backed summary. So it's basically a shortcut to finding what the scientific consensus is on any given supplement. Examine.com have actually released their own AI tool as well that's trained on their own content. So these kind of AI tools, it really looks like that's the way things are headed in future. And they can be useful, but you should still exercise some caution there. Okay, so now that we know where to get reliable information, how do we actually decide whether a supplement is worth taking? So instead of guessing or sort of going with the latest TikTok trend, you can use this super simple framework. It's a quadrant analysis that helps you figure out whether a supplement is useful, useless, or somewhere in between. So the axes work on two things. So firstly, scientific evidence. Is there strong research backing its effectiveness and safety? And secondly, personal need. Do you actually need it based on your health and your lifestyle? And remember, this is about you. A supplement that might be suitable for your running mate might be terrible for you. So once you answer those two questions, then you can place any supplement into one of the four quadrants. So in the top right, you'll have, in the bottom left, you'll have supplements that have weak evidence and that you don't really need. And I mean, these obviously are supplements that you can avoid. Next, on the bottom right, you'll find supplements that have reasonable evidence for their effectiveness, but you don't really need them. And these are supplements that you could avoid because they're unnecessary for you. In the top left, this might be something that you really need, an effect that you need, but the evidence for the supplements is actually quite weak. And so here you might try it or use it with caution or decide not to use it. And then kind of the place where you want to be is this top right quadrant where it's something that you really need and there's strong evidence that the supplement actually works. And so these are likely beneficial. So anything that ends up in this top right quadrant for you is something you should strongly consider taking. So it's a simple exercise, but it can help you avoid wasting money on things that don't work or that you don't need, and really focus on the ones that actually do. So let's put this framework into action and we can test it on some of the most popular supplements out there. But before we do, let's do another little poll. Let me try and launch this one. So let's kind of see what's actually popular in this group. I want you to type in the supplements you're currently taking or considering taking, whatever comes to mind, and then your answers will form a word cloud for us. We'll have a real-time snapshot of what you're all using. Safe space, don't be shy. Someone just put USN. I wasn't asking for the supplement company, but rather the specific supplement. Okay, so a couple of the ones that I thought would be popular are coming up. Magnesium in the center there, creatine, obviously, vitamin. I suppose that's a multivitamin, so we can chat about that one as well. Protein, I think that's pretty popular. Whey protein. Okay. So we've got quite a healthy mix of everything there. Some classics and some that I don't think I've even heard of. But let's have a look and see if we can cover a few of those with our quadrant analysis. Okay, we're going to start with one of the most talked about and researched supplements out there, and that's vitamin D. Vitamin D is often called the sunshine vitamin because your body naturally produces it when exposed to sunlight. But here's the catch. A lot of us actually don't get enough. So if you spend most of your time indoors, you live in a place with long winters, so Europeans, or have darker skin, which reduces vitamin D synthesis, you might be at risk of deficiency. So what does the science say about vitamin D? And really, this is one of the most well-researched supplements out there. There's pretty strong evidence to show that it's important for bone health, for immune function, and even for mood regulation. So where does it land on our quadrant? So for many people, especially those with low sun exposure, vitamin D can be beneficial, and it's backed by strong science. So it might go in the top right. But here's something interesting. I mean, I recently tested my vitamin D levels. I went and had a blood test, and they were fine. So that's likely because I spend a decent amount of time outside on my bike. So for me, taking a vitamin D supplement is unnecessary. More of it is not going to be beneficial. And that's the key point. Not everyone needs every supplement. So for me, vitamin D ends up in the bottom right. So there's some decent evidence for it, but I don't need it. So let's have a look at another one. It's also a super popular supplement, fish oil. Often also known as omega-3 fatty acids, because that's kind of the nutrient that you're trying to get out of the fish oil. And this is, again, is one of the most widely recommended supplements, and it's for good reason. So omega-3s are essential fatty acids, meaning your body can't produce them at all. You have to consume them in your food. And generally, these come from foods. Fatty fish is the main kind of source for these omega-3 fatty acids. They play a key role in heart health, brain function, and even reducing inflammation. So what does the science say about them? There's strong evidence that omega-3s can benefit people who don't eat enough fatty fish. So when we're talking about fatty fish, that's salmon, sardines, mackerel, that sort of thing. So the research shows that they support heart health, they may reduce inflammation, and they could even help brain function as we age. So where do they land on our quadrant? So for a lot of people, they might be in the top right, actually. So if you really eat fish, maybe you really just don't like the taste, or you don't buy it very much, then supplementing could be a good idea. You could be a bit short of omega-3s. If you're someone who really eats fish very regularly, then you're probably already covered and wouldn't need to worry too much. So for me personally, I eat fish, but only about once a week. And maybe that's not quite enough to hit the recommended intake of omega-3. So I decided that a fish oil supplement is probably beneficial for me. So it's a great example of how personal need plays a huge role in whether or not a supplement is useful for you. Okay, we'll look at something else that's been hyped up on social media. If anyone here has listened to any podcast in the whole world, they'll know about Athletic Greens. Their marketing campaign is relentless. So you've probably seen influencers dumping these bright green scoops into their morning smoothies. They're promising better digestion, detox, and overall vitality. Big promises. And greens powders claim to provide all the benefits of eating fruits and vegetables in a convenient powder. How convenient! You don't have to eat your veggies. You can just drink down this vile green drink. They're marketed as a quick fix for people who struggle to eat enough whole plant foods. So what does the science say? And I mean, here's the reality. While some greens powders contain beneficial nutrients, they are really not a replacement for real vegetables. The fiber, antioxidants, phytonutrients found in whole foods don't translate into powdered form very well. So the sad news for some of you is that multivitamins also kind of fits into the same category. The evidence for benefit there is relatively poor. Sorry, yeah, that's the summary of the research. And here I used that AI tool within examine.com to get the answer, and it really was pretty impressive what it gave me back. So I think for most of us, this is probably going to land in the bottom left. So unnecessary, especially if you already eat a variety of fruits and vegetables. For someone who really, avoids vegetables like the plague, then maybe you'd consider it. So for me personally, I don't bother. I do eat plenty fruit and veg, and so yeah, I'm not made of money either. These things get ludicrously expensive. Okay, next one, we're going to move on to something that's pretty popular within the sort of beauty and fitness space and with the ladies, and that's collagen. It really is quite a hyped supplement. And I mean, if you believe all the marketing, collagen is going to make your skin glow, your joints bulletproof, and your hair and nails grow like crazy. It sounds amazing. So what is it? I mean, collagen is a protein that's found in your skin. It's found in joints and connective tissues. And as we age, our natural collagen production decreases, which is why, wrinkles, joint pain, reduced skin elasticity, all that sort of thing become more common. So, what does the science say? It's pretty mixed, actually. Some studies suggest it might help with skin elasticity and joint health, but the effects are small, modest. And here's the kicker. When you consume collagen, your body actually breaks it down in the stomach into amino acids, just like any other protein. So there might not be anything special about taking collagen itself. It might just be protein that's giving you the effect. So there's really no guarantee it actually gets used to rebuild collagen in your body. So for me, I really put this in the bottom middle somewhere. The evidence is kind of okay, but I don't think I have any strong need for it. But if you're looking for something that might help with skin or joints, it's not the worst option. Just don't expect miracles. There's not really much downside to taking it, except the expense. Okay, we're running out of time here, but we'll do one last one, and it's one that was mentioned quite a lot there. It's not just for the gym bros, I promise, and that's creatine. Oh no, wait, we got one other one. Sorry, I snuck this one in as well. So this is one that's really exploded in popularity recently, and I think it's partly the result of podcasters constantly talking about it, and that's ashwagandha. It's marketed as a miracle stress reliever. Influencers claim it can lower cortisol, help with anxiety, boost sleep, and even improve testosterone levels. Sounds like a magic pill. So ashwagandha is an adaptogen, so meaning it's thought to help the body adapt to stress. It's been used in traditional medicine for centuries, and some research suggests it may help lower cortisol and reduce stress-related fatigue. So the science is a bit tricky, unfortunately. Some studies show potential benefits, but the quality of the research really varies. Many of the studies are small, they're short-term, or funded by supplement companies. So we have to take the claims with a grain of salt. Where does it end up? Probably in the top left. I mean, most of us have some stress in our lives, and something that helps us with stress would be most welcome. But the problem is the evidence really just isn't strong enough to put it in the top right just yet. Okay, so yeah, let's go on to creatine now, which I did actually include. So as I said, really not just for gym bros. It's one of the most studied supplements out there. It's not just for muscle growth. It helps with strength, power, and more recently, there's been a lot of research about creatine and brain function, cognitive function. So your body actually produces creatine naturally, and you can get it from red meat and fish, but supplementing can provide extra benefits, especially for active people. So the science, I mean, unlike a lot of other supplements we've talked about, creatine really has decades of strong research behind it. It's been proven to increase muscle strength and power, help with high intensity exercise, especially resistance exercise. And it even has emerging research on those cognitive benefits, which is pretty exciting. So if ever one belongs in the top right, it's probably this one. So if you lift weights or do any high intensity training, or you just want to give your muscles and brain an extra edge, creatine is one to consider. Also, for those of us the wrong side of 40, it's something that can help with maintaining lean muscle mass, which is essential for health and longevity. Okay, so we can't go through every supplement under the sun, but let's say that you've gone through the quadrant framework and you've decided a supplement is worth taking. Where to from there? Just because a supplement is available doesn't mean it's safe. The supplement industry is shockingly underregulated or even unregulated. And plenty of products contain things that aren't on the label, or worse, things that shouldn't be there at all. So here's how to have a look to see whether you're getting a high quality product. So look for third-party testing. So not all supplements are tested for purity. So you really want to look for the ones that have been certified by an independent laboratory. And so some of those certifications you can look for are NSF and Informed Sport or Informed Choice. There's also USP verifications as well. And you'll actually see that on the packaging for the supplement. They'll have the little logo there, and you can even look up the batch number in the case of Informed Sport. Then make sure to try and avoid hidden contaminants. So some supplements, especially herbal and performance-enhancing ones, have been found to contain undeclared stimulants, so heavy metals or even pharmaceutical drugs. So if a product sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And this is really in the most of these are marketed as, Testo Extra Rage Plus or whatever, with, very aggressive marketing. Those are the kind of ones you might want to skip over. Also, have a look for single ingredient products. So a big red flag is proprietary blends. So this is when a company lists a bunch of ingredients without telling you how much of each one is actually in there. They have some fancy trademarked name for their proprietary blend, which is a surefire way to know that they don't really know what they're talking about. So stick with single ingredient supplements when possible, so you know exactly what you're getting. And this also allows you to attribute any positive or negative effects to that one ingredient, rather than trying to guess which one of 42 ingredients in your supplement gave you the runs. And then really just read the label and understand it. So the fewer unnecessary fillers and additives, the better. So if the ingredient list looks like a science experiment, you may want to rethink it. I've added a little cash symbol there on the bottom right, because unfortunately you kind of tend to get what you pay for. Don't immediately reach for the cheapest version of a particular supplement on the shelf. Try and sort of stick with reputable brands, even if they cost a little more. Some of the cost there goes towards this third-party testing and that sort of thing, to try and make sure that that standards are kept. So, about to wrap up here. So thanks for being part of the session. I really hope it's given you some tools to make smarter supplement choices, but we haven't told you what the best supplement is yet. And that is a healthy dose of skepticism. So if you take one thing away from today, let it be this: question everything. Just because a supplement is trending, just because an influencer swears by it, just because the bottle looks fancy, it doesn't mean that it's worth your time or your money. There's one final tool I want to leave you with, and that's called SIFT. So SIFT is a super simple method developed by a digital literacy expert, Mike Caulfield. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but to help determine whether online content can be trusted. So step one is stop. So before you believe or share something, just pause. Ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this information credible? And don't just accept something at face value. Then investigate the source. So who is making this claim? Are they a legitimate experts or someone just trying to sell you something? Check their credentials and whether they have a reason to push a certain narrative. The F stands for find better coverage. So instead of relying on a single post, look for multiple sources. If a supplement truly works, you should see strong, consistent evidence across all the reputable sites, not just one influencer who's hyping it up. And then the T is for trace those claims back to the original context. So many social media posts take studies or expert quotes out of context completely, or they cherry pick one or two statements. So if you see a bold claim, go to the original source, whether it's a research paper or credible news outlet, and see what was actually said. So as a final thought, making smart health choices isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing how to think critically. Supplements can be useful, but only if they're backed by science and necessary for you and high quality. So next time you attempt to buy a new supplement, just remember, a little skepticism goes a long way. Cool, that's about it. I'm happy to, I know it's sort of perhaps out of time, but I'll take some questions if there are any. Karabo, did you see any that are interesting?
Yeah, there was a question in the chat where I think it was Marissa that said it was Nicolette. She said she adds a tablespoon of flax seeds to her smoothie. Is that enough for Omega's fish oil?
So the omegas in plant sources are slightly different to the omegas you get from animal sources. So you need a slightly higher dose of the flax seeds to kind of get to those levels. But this would kind of depend on how much you're taking. I wouldn't be able to say like if that's enough. It certainly is a great idea to include some flax seeds in your morning shake or on your cereal. That they do contain some valuable omega-3s, but I can't really say in her specific case whether that's enough or not. Something about cramping here. Sorry, that's an interesting one and a common one we get. So the short answer is none, probably. There's not really anything that works well for cramping. Cramping is most likely due to a neurological process rather than kind of any missing electrolyte. So the electrolyte theory has largely been disproven, but magnesium is one that's often pushed. So that's something you can try. But avoiding cramps is generally about your training. So subjecting yourself to a similar sort of training stimulus that you would find in the race. So if it's going to be a really hot race, maybe you choose to train in hot weather and train to exhaustion to try and get your body used to the load. And that's often the way to avoid cramps. Oh, there's a lot coming through here.
There was one on what is your opinion on diet supplements like Garcinia? I think that's how it's pronounced.
Sorry, like what?
Garcinia. I don't.
Oh, Garcinia.
Yeah.
I was actually researching that one yesterday, And that's one that's actually been singled out as being potentially harmful. So there have been isolated cases of liver failure after taking Garcinia. It's marketed as a weight loss supplement. And so the Australian health regulations sort of pretty much put out a black box warning against taking it. So it seems like a rare side effect, but a few people have had to have liver transplants after taking Garcinia. So to me, the risk to benefit ratio really seems poor, but it's one of those that is pushed by influencers like crazy, unfortunately.
So that's quite hectic. There's one on IV drips and what your thoughts are on that.
So I mean, an IV drip, in general, I don't like them. I think they are, there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of hype, and there's not a lot of evidence to show that they're helpful at all. We use IV access to give people, fluids quickly in an emergency situation. There's no reason why we should be rushing vitamin C into them, in a liter of saline. So, they're outrageously expensive, and there's no evidence that they're going to give you any benefits above what, taking that supplement orally would do. There's a big placebo effect involved as well. So, you're lying down in this fancy drip clinic and there's a needle in your arm, and I don't know, maybe you feel like a bit of a superhero. But, when it comes down to it, I really don't think that they are worth your time or money.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry, there's one about creatine and kidney damage. Yeah, so
sorry.
So in the early days of people starting to use creatine, it really burst onto the scene, and all the pro athletes were using it. There were some concerns about kidney damage or renal damage, but this has been disproven. So you might, in someone who's got severe renal disease and is, that's obviously a renal patient, yeah, sure, you might avoid creatine, but there's no evidence to show that creatine damages the kidneys at all. And in terms of the liver, no, also no concerns there. So creatine is amazingly safe. There's one on BioPlus. So BioPlus is one of those that's got a whole bunch of B vitamins, but it's also got a shot of caffeine in there. So, when there's 100 different ingredients in a supplement, how do you decide that, the buzz that you're feeling afterwards, what is that from? It's most likely from the caffeine. I think that's probably what's making people feel different. High dose vitamin B is probably not doing all that much unless you are, deficient in vitamin B. So that's what I think about that one.
Yeah, I think this one is on electrolytes as well. Says with sugar or no sugar, there are many popping up, but studies show sucrose is needed for trace minerals to effectively be absorbed into your body. I think it's a question of your effectiveness as well.
So with the electrolytes, these are becoming quite popular as sports supplements, because athletes are often sweating a lot and losing electrolytes, and the amount of electrolytes they lose is really going to depend on the saltiness of their sweat. So some have salty sweat, some have low sodium content in their sweat. So for people who are salty sweaters, electrolyte supplements can be quite useful in replacing that. When we say electrolytes, it's mostly the sodium that we're talking about. Often they'll have magnesium or potassium in there as well, but it's mostly the sodium that you're looking to replace. And so, yeah, they can be beneficial in athletes who are, sweating a lot, or find that, they finish a session and they've got a bunch of salt on their jersey. With sugar or not, I'm not sure about the absorption story, to be honest. I'd have to look that up. But the choice might be just based on kind of whether you need the sugar or not. So if, during a workout, you are going to need that sugar. If it's a workout that's longer than an hour or so, you will be needing to take some sugar on board to fuel that workout. So then combining, the electrolytes with the carb makes sense. And most sort of modern endurance drinks will have electrolytes and carbohydrates. There's one on lion's mane. So to be honest, I really don't know. I mean, these mushrooms are being pushed like crazy, and there just really isn't enough evidence to give a good opinion. I think we'll obviously know as research continues, but right now the evidence for them is pretty weak. I haven't seen too much evidence about toxicity either, so they might be safe in moderate doses, but I'm not sure that it's going to be all that effective. Time will tell. Iron, sorry, that's one we should definitely talk about, especially in ladies. So of the micronutrient deficiencies, iron is probably the most common deficiency, especially in ladies who might have heavier periods where you're losing iron, just about every month. So symptoms of fatigue, low mood, sort of listlessness, sometimes even a headache, and dropping performance maybe in your running or riding or whatever you do. That might be something that leads you to getting an iron test. And if your iron is low, absolutely, yes, you need to take iron. I don't think it's something that's a supplement that everyone should take daily, but if you identify that you have a deficiency, then yeah, the treatment is iron supplementation. If it's really very low, you would take a higher dose of iron in an intravenous form, and that would be done at your doctor's office. But for sort of moderate deficiencies, oral iron is usually okay. It takes quite a long time to kind of build up your iron stores again, but yeah, iron is essential.
Sure.
Okay, maybe one more.
Okay. I don't know if you want to take the BioStress one.
I don't know what
your
BioStress
thoughts
is.
on it. Okay. Okay. There's a complicated one saying, do you think someone with chronic medication needs to be particularly cautious on supplements?
Yeah, so I think that is that's a great point, because these supplements do have pharmacological effects, so they do behave like, some of them anyway, do behave like medications, and so because of that, you can have interactions with medications. So for anyone on a medication, you would need to, before taking a supplement, you would need to check if there are any known interactions between that supplement and the medication you're taking. It could cause you to, overdose with the medication or the supplement by sort of changing the way your liver enzymes process the supplement or the medication. So there are a bunch of potential interactions that could be potentially harmful there. I mean, something like, as an example, something like fish oil in high doses tends to increase your chance of bleeding. And if you're someone who's already on, a blood thinner of some sort, those effects can be additive and potentially dangerous. So yeah, absolutely. If you are on any chronic meds, always check either with your doctor or an interaction checker to try and see if there's any interactions there. Okay, I think we're going to have to call. We've been going quite a while, but yeah, thanks everyone for attending. I know, Karabo, you shared that feedback form. If everyone could just take a minute just to fill out that form, that would be fantastic. Let me see if I can post the link again. And then, yeah, we are going to be looking to possibly dive a little bit deeper into the supplement space with future webinars. There's just been so much interest in the topic. Maybe what we need to do is do sessions that give us a slightly deeper dive on specific supplements. So look out for those ones. And yeah, thanks very much for attending and for your participation. That was fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks, Karabo.
Thanks, Uncle Jay. Thanks, everyone.